Today's guest cracked the code on building a $9 million beverage empire by refusing to play by anyone else's rules. Megan Klein went from an environmental lawyer to the renegade entrepreneur, investing her last $1 million, including selling her apartment, to create Little Saints, the sugar-free, functional mushroom-infused cocktail brand that's transforming how we think about drinking. And after bombing with traditional wholesale and losing over $1 million in her first 2 years, she made the radical pivot to direct-to-consumer with her weird, wacky, unfiltered content that drove a 600% year-over-year growth. She eventually hit profitability and gave her the confidence to walk away from multiple sharks on Shark Tank. In this episode, we explore how functional ingredients like reishi and lion's mane are disrupting the billion-dollar non-alcoholic market and dive deep into the renegade entrepreneurship playbook that let her scale a CPG startup without traditional VC funding. The single business decision that turned my business around was letting go of the finances and finding an expert to take them over. We hear that all the time inside the Founders Club. So if you're running a fast-growing brand, product, online, retail, your back office should not be what holds you back. So Fully Accountable is today's sponsor, and they are incredible at outsourcing that in-house financial team that you need. From bookkeeping to those fractional CFO services, and most importantly, like me, if you're looking to sell, they're gonna M&A prep your company so that you can get the most bang for your buck. And most importantly, so you can focus on the growth. They have over 600 plus brands that work with them, and they really help when it comes to that financial decision making, which is so crucial. On top of that, if you mention this ad, they've told me that they'll waive the onboarding fees. So take full advantage, reach out to Fully Accountable. Megan, thank you so much for joining us on the Founder to Founder podcast. I know we're going to get into an incredible episode today. A lawyer, a business owner, you have so much to talk about. Thank you for joining us.
I'm so happy to be here.
We're in sunny Miami. So I want to get right into it, okay? I was chatting with you a little bit before this. I know you have an incredible background, but I want us to go first a couple steps back and take me through the early days. Did you always know you were an entrepreneur, or did you just say, you know what? No, I'm going to go to school and I'm going to become a lawyer?
I was confused. My parents were always like, oh, you really like to fight us. You should be a lawyer. And
Ooh.
For some reason, I just didn't question that. So I was like an English and a French major. Like I didn't know what I was going to do with that. I just knew I was going to go to law school. So yeah, no, I was pretty lost until I don't know what age of people that listen to this is, but I wasn't an entrepreneur until I was like 34, 35.
Mm-hmm.
I was a lawyer back then. The only thread throughout my entire career is that like, I've always wanted to inspire people to love nature as much as I do.
Oh.
So like I went to law school and I wanted to do some sort of environmental law, but I didn't even know what that meant. So I did, I did a lot of environmental stuff in law school, and then I did energy M&A. So I was doing like wind and ethanol.
That's cool.
Deals. And then it was 2006 to 2009. So 2008, I was in New York, the economy collapsed, and I was doing bankruptcy law. And then I was like, I am contributing to the demise of the world. I'm out of here. So then I quit my job without a job in the summer of 2009, started volunteering at a rooftop farm in Brooklyn, and then got a job at Earth Justice. So I did environmental nonprofit law for 2 years.
Wow.
And then I was like, I love Earth Justice, but I really like capitalism. Like I like, like being part of like the economy, and I wanted to make money. So then that's when I got into entrepreneurship, which is hilarious because, if you want to make money, entrepreneurship, like in the beginning is really not
statistically the worst possible thing you could possibly do for yourself.
Totally.
Especially when you're a lawyer.
Yeah. Oh yeah, totally. I mean, if I didn't have like my savings from like being a lawyer and like having, quote unquote real jobs for a while, I wouldn't have been able to do the entrepreneurship that I did.
Wow. Was there a moment when you're a lawyer, you're living in New York?
Yeah.
What was life like, during those times when you're a lawyer, things are on paper at least doing really well. Like you're a lawyer, you're in New York. This is what you've worked for. You studied for this. You built this. You kind of found your niche. You're not environmental. Was there a moment where you're like, this doesn't feel so good?
All the time. Like I was, a lot of people do this in New York, but I was getting so drunk all the time. You just like go out after work and you get drunk, and that's what people do. But I felt like I just didn't have any meaning in my life, but I had a bunch of money. So I was like, cool, I'm going to go out for like these like expensive martinis and like a dinner and a trip and like those sort of like social things that I could pay for because of the job that I hated were like my only kind of respite. And then I would be like, I'd meet people, a lot of people in New York in the arts or in fashion, and they were pursuing their purpose. And I'd be like, I'd had no idea what my purpose was for a really long time.
Wow. So what was the motivation at the time to like just keep going into work every day, maybe going out after and drinking? Like what was the feedback loop that you were telling yourself? Or was it just like, I don't really know what I'm doing, but this is, I guess, the way it's supposed to be?
I don't even think I knew how to question stuff the way that I know now. I just sort of had like when you're in that state, you're so much in a fog. You're on
Wow.
like the coffee alcohol loop. So you're never really there. Or I was never really there.
Wow.
And then you're just kind of like, oh, I know that this isn't really right, but I'm either like working super hard or I'm out. So I didn't really give myself enough space to even like know what I was looking for. I was definitely having conversations at the time. I remember I would talk to people in the arts. Like I thought I wanted to maybe do something like in the arts that had like a nature bent to it. I would talk to the way that I got out of being a lawyer is because I read a book called The Vertical Farm by Dixon DePaumier. He's a Columbia
Wow.
professor. And he wrote this book about how in 2050, there'd be 9 billion people. They'd be living in cities and they needed like they needed to be growing food near where they lived. So I was always reading,
Mm.
and that book finally I was like, "Oh, I want to do that. Like where could I do that?" And that's how I got out of being a lawyer and I became an entrepreneur. So I moved to
Wow.
Chicago. I grew up in Wisconsin. Moved to Chicago to be closer to my family and farmed here, which was one time the largest like hydroponic farm in the country. It was located in Chicago. And
Wow.
I just stalked them until they hired me for free. I was like, listen, I don't have any business experience. Like I knew my family are entrepreneurs. Like my dad and my brothers are in real estate and they've always
Right.
started their own company. Like no one in my family has really had like a 9 to 5. So I was kind of, you have that sort of inkling. You're like, I don't think that
Were
this
you
is
still
my
like
thing.
practicing law at the time?
Yeah. Like, so when I moved to Chicago, I had my own little law firm. I always kind of like kept my law
Wow.
license up so I'd have some money coming in. And that also helped me being an entrepreneur too. Cause like I was
Right.
working with other entrepreneurs, but so I
Right.
was like running my own little law firm. And then I worked for equity only at this place called Farmed Here. Had no idea what I was doing business wise, but I was just like, listen, I love what you're doing. I will be helpful. And so I would
Mm.
drive 45 minutes every morning to this farm, which was a like warehouse that had been abandoned, like far away. And I would go work there and I would just do whatever they needed to do. So since I had a legal background, I helped them raise their Series A. I helped them with food safety, which I had no idea about, but I taught myself like food safety. And I just kind of became indispensable there. And then the venture fund that funded our Series A or B, I forgot what it was, they ended up putting me in charge as president when they raised the round.
Wow.
But I worked for nothing for equity for almost a year.
Wow. So you were basically running this farm,
Yeah.
also practicing of being a lawyer.
Hmm.
At what point did you say, hmm, I think I'm going to go and start something for myself, like start my own
Oh
brand?
gosh, it was a long time. So this
Wow.
was not normal. So the farm, it was called Farmed Here, and I wasn't one of the founders. There was like a founding group, and then I have the the luck of shutting a company down be behind me because we actually shut down that company. It failed. So,
Mm.
the founders like brought a beautiful idea to life. It was like amazing. It was probably before its time. They didn't use Dutch technology, but anyways, the farm was literally dying, and
Mm.
there would have been no ROI if we would have like reinvested and rebuilt it.
Mhm.
So we dragged all the equity along, and then we started the first company that I founded, which was the Fresh Factory, and it's still alive today. It's like a co-packer, and it was a brand. So we make plant-based like salad dressings, dips, and juices. So I
Wow.
created that brand with my business partners, like out of the ashes of Farmed Here.
And how old were you at the time when that happened?
I mean, I was a late bloomer. I've always been a late bloomer. Like I'm still not
Yeah.
married. Like I
Right.
just like but at that time, late 30s, when we like started
Yeah.
that company.
That's really powerful because I think in today's world, like people put so much pressure on like time and when things are supposed to happen. And it's so amazing just to hear like, wow, yeah, I'm starting my business. I did a Pilates class with my mom this morning,
Oh, cute.
and she's 65, and she was like, "Aaron, I have an idea for a business."
Oh,
And I
yeah.
looked at her, she's been building businesses all the time. She's like, this is gonna work. And in my head, I was like, I wish I can like record her right now and blast it, because there's no age to anything.
No,
You can do it whenever you want.
no.
And
And
that
I,
is so powerful.
yeah, and I think that entrepreneurs are channels, and like, we the ideas are all floating around, and it's like the entrepreneur that has the guts to like put it into action. And you've got to be
Mm,
in a space where you're open and you're clear yourself to be able to be the best person to bring that idea to life. So I don't think I was the best person to bring any idea to life until my late 30s, because I was so confused and there was so much fog and I was drinking and I didn't have a purpose. And so like once I finally honed in and I really was passionate about that company, like we sourced local produce and we made stuff locally, and like we were really good. We treat our team really well. Like I was really passionate about that business. So then it was like, okay, like now I'm in the place to be the best person to bring this to life. But before then I wasn't.
that's really powerful. I want to eventually get into Little Saints, but I really want to paint the picture for people to know that like it's not common for someone to wake up one day and just have an idea. It's a series of events.
No.
So you're building this new company out of the ashes of the old one. At what point?
And that was not easy, by the way. Like, we had raised a lot of money from the farm, and then we brought those investors along with us to the new company. And so like in the new company, I owned like 5% or something, like to starting out. And I would
Wow.
never do that again, but I didn't know what I didn't know. And so we just like had a lot of like investor baggage on that.
What
So it
was
was,
like a key lesson in that you like took away?
oh my, I mean, I've run my fundraising for Little Saints like completely differently. Like
Mm,
you know, I I've never raised too much money. I'm like really, really care. Well, first of all, I put in $1 million into Little Saints. And so like I
wow.
was like, this thing is not gonna die. You'd have to kill me. Right. Like, and
Wow.
then like I just, I was really thoughtful about when I raised money and how, and didn't raise too much in the beginning, and have just like grown. I mean, you'll see like it's not slow growth, but like it was slow growth in the beginning, and we're not blowing tons of cash to grow. So I just think that's like what I learned.
I think in the beginning is also super important, but you just brought up something big. You put $1 million in. Is that money that you saved up over being a lawyer? Is that from, the next business? Like, where did you get $1 million? Or was it just over time you've been reinvesting it?
Yeah, it was over time. I had like real estate investments with my family. And,
Wow.
I was 42 when I started Little Saints, and I thought that I would get married and have kids, or I thought I would adopt kids. And so I had that savings, and I was like, oh, I would have enough money to like adopt a kid and have a nanny. And then all of a sudden I was like, you know what? I don't want to do that on my own. Like that was a thing that I thought about a lot from 35 to 40. And it really kind of drove me crazy, like a lot of
Wow.
women. And then at 40, I had this like amazing gothic elegant wedding to myself for my 40th birthday. It was ridiculous. I wore like a black sheer gown, and like we had like this really raging party with all black martinis. It was really fun. And I had friends coming in from all over the country, and I was so lucky. And I was sitting at a stoplight crying because I was single. Like I had all these blessings, like this amazing party, these amazing friends, like family, everyone was healthy. And I'm just crying because of the thing I don't have, which is like a husband and kids. And I
Wow.
looked to the side of me and I saw people in the car looking at me crying. And I realized they probably thought someone died. They probably
Wow.
thought like, and I was like, you know what? I'm giving this up. Like I'm done like having a pity party about this. Like I have so many blessings. So I'm going to like contribute to the world in like the way that like I know how. And that's really building businesses and cultures.
Wow. Would you say that, I always find that sometimes our lowest moments kind of like create this like, I wouldn't even say the seed. It's almost like the first like germination, actually the lowest moments where something comes out of it. What would you say is like, well, one, did you have one of those moments where you came out of it and said, you know what, I'm no longer going to do X. I'm no longer going to operate this way. Because for me, that was really like actually post exit after like doing all the things you wanted to do, or I had to like sit with myself for really like a year and be like, wait, I don't just want to be in the same spot. I need to go out into the world. I need things to change for me. Was there a moment that you can recall that really changed everything for you?
There's been like several. I mean, there was that, and that was when I decided to go to business school. So I did the executive MBA program at Kellogg while I was running the other company. And that was like, all right, I'm going to stop wasting my time like worrying about, am I going to get married or not? And I'm going to go to business school. So I did that while I was running Farmed Here. I'm sorry. Oh my gosh. Field and Farmer. And then, I left Field and Farmer the week before the pandemic started. And I knew I wanted to start Little Saints. Like I knew Little Saints means mushrooms. Like I knew I wanted to create like a non-alcoholic drinks company out of it. And at the time it was also microdose THC edibles. But it's still, when you're an entrepreneur, it's like, yeah, you get better at it, but you still have no idea what you're doing. So then all of a sudden I am single, living alone during the pandemic. I think I'm starting a company, but I have no idea how lonely it's going to be to found it on my own. Like all I wanted to do was found something on my own. Cause like I have so much love and respect for my ex-business partners, but we never saw eye to eye. It was always kind of felt like a struggle. And I was like, okay, what a blessing. I have all this money. I can fund this. Like I can do this on my own. And then you do it and you're like, oh my God, this is really hard. So in 2020, I started building the Little Saints brand, thinking it was going to be THC gummies and CBD and mushroom mocktails. And this is so hypocritical, but it's just is what it is. I was drinking a lot by myself because drinking alcohol.
Wow.
Yep. Because I was at the time, I like got my law license again. So I would have some money flowing in. So I was doing like contract legal work. I was like trying to start Little Saints. I was in the pandemic. Like 3 of my best friends got pregnant during the pandemic. So I had no pod. I was living in Chicago. I was like super alone. So I think I kind of had a little bit of a midlife crisis. I moved to Detroit by myself alone during the pandemic.
Wow.
And that December, so I never talk about this, but the truth is before the gummies and the drinks, I actually did hemp silk cocktail masks for Little Saints. I just wanted to, it's so funny. I just wanted to have a product to sell. And I'm really passionate about like not using plastic and using like natural fibers. And I was like, all right, my problem is that I need to go out and socialize. And in the Midwest, it was really shut down. And I was like, I can't socialize without a mask and I want to drink. So I'm going to make a hemp silk mask that like a straw fits through and we're going to drink through that. So that was kind of what I did in the beginning. And I remember I was sitting on my living room floor in Detroit in December, hand doing all of these mask kits. Like I would fold the tissue paper and I would put the straw in there and I was drinking Negronis by myself and watching like Squid Game or something.
Oh my goodness.
Like it was so dark. And I was just like, this is not, here I thought I had it all figured out and I totally didn't have it all figured out. So I had already started developing the what were then called the plant magic mocktails. I had already started developing them, but then I really saw that it was a problem because I've been meditating and doing yoga every morning when I wake up for at least 10 years. Like I'm very healthy during the day. I was in the plant-based food space and then I was like, having a couple cocktails at night. And when I was alone, no one but myself, and I was like, oh, this is really really harming me during the day. Like I'm never fully clear. I wasn't like blacking out. I was having 1 or 2 drinks, but that still just was not serving me.
It starts to stack up.
It starts to stack up and you're like, am I ever really clear? I'm having more caffeine every day. So anyways, I did dry January 2021. I had tried it like every year for 15 years. I never made it the whole 31 days. And so I bought every non-alcoholic drink that was out there. I had like a whole kitchen table like this full of it. And everything, there's lots of great brands that are still alive today. But what I saw was everything was full sugar. And I was like, well, if I'm going to have sugar, I'm going to have alcohol. Yeah. Like, like nothing had like a really good functional ingredient that I resonated with. Certainly there were some functional ones, but they may have had caffeine in them or they may have had too much weird stuff in them. And I know from my own practice that when you work with like 1 or 2 functional ingredients, it's a lot more effective than just throwing the kitchen sink of adaptogens in there. And then, nothing had like a nose to it. Like we like alcohol because it has a smell to it. And that sort of signifies to our body and our energy, like, ooh, it's nighttime. Now it's time for a reward. So I was like, okay, I know how to make products. Like, I think I can be helpful here. And that's really how I started Little Saints.
Wow. This episode is brought to you by Fermat, the platform that's quietly powering brands like Buy Sell, Backcountry, Unilever, Glossier, Adapt Naturals, GNC, Ilia Cosmetics, as seen on TV, and has been partnering with the leading agencies such as Tenuity, Common Thread Collective. So while you're debating which MarTech tool to sunset, these brands are building high-converting funnels faster than you can say growth loop. Fermat lets you launch campaign-specific landing pages with zero dev time, built-in heat maps, and an AI strategy that actually makes sense. So no more Frankenstein funnels, 14 tabs to change a CTA. If your team is lean, but your goals are not, head to firmatcommerce.com. It's basically like Shopify and Figma had a very fast and very smart baby. Check it out.
Like, I find like sometimes so many incredible brands come out of the pandemic. You know, it's like this moment where you're just sitting with yourself for a pretty extended period of time. And you're like, you know what? I'm going to really do what I feel is natural to me. And it comes back to the power of sitting with yourself. And I know both of us have spent some time sitting with Mother Aya. And, you know, I'd love to just kind of hear a little bit about that journey, because you were already experimenting with plant medicine during this time. And, you know, some people have different perceptions of ayahuasca, plant medicine in general. Very scary. Everyone's heard of horror stories, or you're gonna be crazy or whatever, you know. And it's a really beautiful thing once you kind of jump into it, but it's not always magic, right?
No.
It's a tremendous amount of work. So I'm curious, like, at what, you know, when did it start for you, and you know, how did it play a role in developing, you know, today an incredible brand, Little Saints?
Thank you. Well, it's actually my 10-year anniversary. I met one of
Wow.
my good friends who is now like a shaman practitioner, but I met her 10 years ago. We went to the jungle in Peru separately, and we met each other there. And I went because I have like a history of pretty severe depression. I was really depressed at that time. I was at Farmed Here. Things were not going well. That was sort of like when we figured out, like then when it started going in my head, like, oh, we're going to have to shut this thing down, and I'm its president and I suck. And like, I'm not qualified to run a business. And I was just so depressed, and I was drinking all the time. So I was like pouring gasoline on the depression. And so I
Wow.
had heard, you know, this is so just like I met someone at brunch, and they were like talking about ayahuasca, and they just looked really happy. And I would have tried anything. I would have literally done anything at that
Wow.
time. And so I went to Peru for the first time, and I sat with it, and I did like 6 ceremonies to start. And that really like,
6 days in a row.
they do it Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday. So I think I came in on a Thursday and left like 2 Fridays later.
Right.
But that was such a turning point. You know, you have to quit your antidepressants like about, I don't remember, like a long time before you
So you were
sit.
on, was it like SSRIs?
Yeah,
Is
I was
that?
on SSRIs. I think I was on
Yeah.
Wellbutrin at the time. And then I sat with it, or so I quit before then. And then
Yeah.
I never went back on it.
Wow.
Yeah. And so that really like, you know, I had like many people, like I had a lot of like pretty severe childhood trauma, which was causing a lot of the depression. And I didn't know, I couldn't be aware of that. And so I just like, that one was just I worked through a lot of like the deep stuff. Like there was one ceremony where there were like snakes coming out of me. And like, I just like
Wow.
worked through a lot of
Visualizations.
stuff. And, you know, and I told you, I've done it over 50 times now. And like, so I still
Wow.
work through stuff, but as time has gone on, I'm not working on any of like the really like deep childhood stuff anymore. I'm working on more like present day, like, okay, how can I be a better leader type
Yeah.
stuff.
I want to get into how it plays a role into the business and how it formulated, you know, Little Saints. But I also like want to take a step back. Is like, was this your first kind of like dive into plant medicine?
Oh yeah. I had never even done mushrooms. I had no
Yeah,
idea.
so you were like me,
Yeah.
like head first into the
No.
deep end.
Yeah, no. People are like, maybe you should microdose. I'm like, no, I'm going into the jungle by myself. I'm riding a tuk-tuk. I'm staying in a tambo with no bathroom, and I'm going to do that.
Wow.
Not a person of moderation. Still not.
Hey, listen, I my own experience is very similar in the sense of I just like, you know, signed up and I'm like, I'm going to full send it. Didn't know it was 4 days in a row. I thought it was like a one ceremony thing. And they're like, well, on Monday this and on Tuesday that. And I was like, whoa.
What made
But,
you want to do it?
it's a good question. I had just such a tremendous amount of transition happening in my life in such a short time frame. Like in the matter of 6 months, my essentially dream home in Toronto. Like if you grew up in Toronto, you want to live in Yorkville, you want to live in a home in Yorkville. It's like if you ever go to Toronto, that's the place you want to be. At least at this stage in your life, this is where you want to be. And I got it. And then I got my dream car, and I sold my business, and I did all the things that I wanted to do. And one night I kind of hear some things happening like in the middle of the night in my home. And next thing I know, I have 5 random dudes in my house, fully robbing me, taking my car, taking my
Oh, no.
watches. Like, it was insanity, absolute insanity. It was like a movie. It was worse than a movie.
Oh my God.
It was like the most. I don't know anything what rape would feel like, but if it felt like someone being inside my shit, that's what it felt like. And I remember saying, well, done with this house. Like, I can't sleep here. My friends are sleeping over. I'm waking up in the middle of the night, like clearing my house like a Navy SEAL. Like, I'm freaking out.
Yeah.
And I'm 29 at the time. So in those 6 months, I sold my company that was pretty much my identity. I'd spent every waking moment building this thing. I was the face of it. So like when people would save my number in their phone, or, like someone would say like, oh, Megan, like from Miami, or Megan Little Saints, they would write Aaron Blanket Boy, or just Blanket Boy. That's what I was known for.
Yeah.
So that whole chapter ended. I'm now leaving Toronto because I don't want to be in Toronto anymore. So I'm moving to Miami. I'm turning 30. I'm going all in on this new business, the community, which I've like started to just love so much. Like, it's all I want to do, and it's all I think about. So like, so much is happening, so much is changing in such a short amount of time. I had no way how to process it. Like, I was kind of just doing what I always do, and I put the blinders on and I just go. And I know that no matter what, it'll work out. And then for the first time, I was like, you know what? Can't stop thinking about ayahuasca. And I called my one friend that I know that did it. And he's like, oh, you're being called, man. That's cool. Go for it. And I was like, why are you so chill about it, dude? This thing's crazy. And he's like, no, like, you're being called. Like, if you can't stop thinking about it, I'm watching. Like, I'm obsessed with it for no reason.
Yeah.
And he was like, she's calling you. And I'm like, who is she? And like, I had no idea about anything.
Yeah.
And I just literally called Rhythmia, and I was like, I'm gonna come. And he's like, cool, pick a date. And I, ended up going in March, and I had no idea what to expect. Nothing like the YouTube videos. Don't watch the YouTube videos. It is not, maybe a little bit of geometric shapes, but you're not going through a portal. And it was very life-changing in many, many ways. I've done a lot of inner work. 18, 19, I've had a performance coach for the better part of 10 years. I've done a lot of that inner child work and stuff, but being able to sit in that environment for 4 days was crazy. It was just what I needed.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was it was definitely pretty wild. But I thought something that was really powerful, because one of my big takeaways was actually how I can show up better as a leader in my business, and how I could better align who I am in this world and into this, what we're building, and it's so interesting because it's really an energetic thing. And, during my ceremony was the first time that I was able to see energy. I don't know if you ever had that. It was super, super interesting. Like, I remember I opened my eyes and I'm like, I'm going to go for a walk, but I couldn't walk. So I was just like, I'm going to look around then. And I was just watching energy, and I was like, oh my goodness. And I, one guy was like kind of sleeping, but I saw just really negative energies around him. And in the morning, I was like, hey, how was your night? He's like, oh, it was terrible. And I was like, I knew it. I saw the negative around you, man. He's like, I know. And then I saw this beautiful green and colors coming out of her. And I was like, how was your night? She was like, it was amazing. I was like, oh my God, I can see it. It's real.
Yeah.
And so my connection to energy has been so different. So different, where now I listen to like all the signals, to my gut, to my heart, to how I feel about things. So it has really changed the way I've been a leader. But I'm curious, like, you've already been experiencing with plant medicine before really this evolution of Little Saints, but you mentioned you're also still drinking alcohol while this whole whole thing was going on. At what point, was it like a no, I'm no longer going to continue to live like this, or was it a slow, like gradual?
It was a slow, so many times. Like I started sitting with ayahuasca 10 years ago, and I only quit alcohol about 3 years ago. So I still drank alcohol when I started Little Saints. So it was just, I would go in and you don't drink for a couple weeks before you go to ceremony, and then you don't drink for a couple weeks after. But then I would go back into drinking. And like now I can see that, like, no judgments, like most Little Saints customers still drink, all my team still drinks, like, all my friends and family still drink. So no judgments, but like alcohol puts a film over your energy field, like just full spot. full stop. And so like I would, make all this progress. And, I also like would work with therapists and I would integrate and I would meditate and I would do all the things at home. And then I would go back to drinking. So there were years of that. So it was like I would make progress and then I would just kind of go down. And then I would make progress and I would kind of go down. And that was just my process, like I'm sure people will judge me and be like, that's horrible. You shouldn't do that. Like, of course I shouldn't have, but I really needed to, I'm not a person of moderation. So I'll learn my lessons hard. And so, it really wasn't until, like 3 years ago. So I started Little Saints assuming that I would still like drink alcohol. I just wanted to drink less. And that's like what most Little Saints customers use it as. They'll like put it in their fridge for the weeknights or they'll have their second or third drink on the weekends with it, but they're not like giving up alcohol. And I thought that's what I would do too. But then the less alcohol I drank, the more like in touch I was with my own energy, the more in touch I was with your energy. Like and honestly, like the better my business would do. Like I was like, oh, this is like the magic pill is to not drink, like it or not, someone might be listening to this, be like, I'm not stopping drinking. But for me, I was like, wait, everything is so easy. Even if I was just having one drink. And then I listened to the Huberman podcast on alcohol and I was like, well, I can't keep on doing this. I run a non-alcoholic beverage company and I have all this information. So yeah, I quit in September 2022, but it was hard. Like, I mean, I'm like a cocktailer, like I'm a partier. Like I would have like three martinis. Like I definitely, my friends like knew me as like a party person. And so I was really afraid. I was like, well, I don't want to, I would have like therapists in the past be like, well, you need all new friends. I'm like, no, I like my friends. Like I'm not getting new friends. Or you need to like not be in nightlife. And I was like, no, I like nightlife. And so in the beginning, I was living in New York and between New York and LA. And it was like really hard. I was like, well, what is my identity if I'm not like the party girl? And so that was tough. And it took me a long time to like, it's funny now, I still stay out just as late. I just went to Summit and stayed out like past 2 a.m, like 3 nights in a row. Like I'm totally myself again, but it took a long time to get there and just realize that like the fun and the wild was like inherent in me. Like I didn't actually need alcohol to do it, but it's not something that happens in like a day or a month or even a year. It took me like maybe 2 years.
It's incredible. And when you're, building out Little Saints, you got the formulas going. I'm curious too, because this is a big thing that a lot of entrepreneurs kind of fight with. And I've heard so many different sides. I've probably got my own opinion on it. What was there a certain point where you're like, all right, now I'm all in, or were you all in from like day one? Like, this is what I do. This is all I'm doing. Or was it like, no, like I still got to pay my bills. I still got these other things. Like I still got to be a lawyer. But I'll do this at night. Like, what was the work life looking like? And was there a point where you're like, this is it? This is what I'm going to be building in the foreseeable future?
It was that summer of 2021, right? When I started it, because it was just me. And I was a little bit insane. Like I didn't have our website. We launched in Memorial Day 2021. Like I had a little mint green vending trailer that I named Baby Mint and I like towed it. I actually know how to hitch a trailer. I towed it with my mint green Jeep and I took it all around Detroit where I was living and like to outdoor like festivals, just music events. And I sold Little Saints. Like we had these ugly tall boy cans like at the time and I got real feedback. And so I was all in then because it was just me. Like there was, but I think we did like maybe $100,000 that first 2021. It was mostly like in-person sales. And then I launched the website in November 2021. But I don't think I really knew what it was going to look like. Like I was always all in because I had put in my savings. I talked a little bit about the microdose THC edibles, but I wasted a lot of money on that. Like I had to pay for molds and I had to pay for a gummy machine. And like I had those out in the market for 2 months, never made a dime and was like, oh, I could either keep on lighting more cash on fire or just kill this part of the business.
Wow.
So I killed that part of the business pretty early on. And no, the whole time I was like, I'm going to make this work. I just don't think I really knew what it looked like yet. Because in the beginning, my experience was just with traditional trucks, wholesale distribution, like Field and Farmer did refrigerated dips and dressings and juices. So it was all trucks. There was like no D2C.
Right.
And so I didn't have that experience. So I went with trucks. And when we first did that in 2022, I launched with a major alcohol distributor in California and like hired the right salesperson. And, and we totally failed. Like number one, the brand didn't have enough brand awareness, right? I think Little Saints had like 10, 15,000 followers. And number two, like the non-alcoholic beverage category just wasn't mature enough. And for sure, alcohol distributors who make their money selling Tito's were like, not like, oh, cool, I'm going to, take these little cans that no one knows about and really put effort into it.
Right.
And so, I mean, I at that time, and so 2023 was 2022 and 2023 I'd already taken a little money from my family. And I was like, shit, are we going to go out of business? So I like sold my crypto. I sold my life insurance policy, and I sold my apartment in Chicago. I still owned a condo in Chicago, and I was like renting it out, and I sold it to my tenants because like I needed money. So that whole year I was just like, oh my God, like this is either, and you're like, the business isn't doing well. Your numbers look like shit. And I had already taken money from my family, and I was just like, well, I got to do this. Cause like now it was 2023 when we started doing D2C, and I just said no to trucks. I was like, okay, but there are people that are really looking for like a sugar-free non-alcoholic cocktail that has something healthy in it, like mushrooms. Like this, there is a need here. The people that like Little Saints really like Little Saints, but it's just, there's not enough of them. So I was like, we are going to figure it out. So it was me and Katie, who's my chief creative officer. She came on, we were friends first, and then she came on. We just like fired all the agencies that we were working with. Like, now I'm looking back, like thinking like, oh my God, I can't believe we spent $30,000 on an event. We were just doing stupid shit that like we shouldn't have done. So it was that year, that summer of 2023, where I was like, all right, I know how this is going to work. And I'm not going to outsource this to people that I think know better than me. Like we are doing all this stuff in-house, and we're going to like just do it ourselves until we figure out what works. And that was really like the point where I was like, okay, like we are going to make this work. And we did.
Wow.
But it was insane. I mean, I was like living in between LA and New York, like selling my condo, being like, I got to the point where like I had, I'd had $1 million, like I said, and I had like $35,000 left, and I put that in. And I remember showing Katie, who's like my friend and my chief creative officer, I was like, Katie, look at how much money I have in the bank account. I had like $10 in my bank account. And I was just like, I was like laughing at the time because I just knew it was going to work. And I knew that personally, I think I had to hit that financial rock bottom again to be a good leader, because I had never, I mean, this is embarrassing to say, but I'd never worried about money before. Like, like I didn't have student loans, and then I was a lawyer, and then I just like had real estate investments. So I had cash, and like I really got to that point where like I had $10 in my bank account at that point. And I was like, okay. And I think that just shut something in my head down that was like irresponsible about money. And now I am like laser focused, and I can like read a P&L and figure stuff out better than anything else. I just, for myself, again, because like no moderation, I just like needed to get there. And now I'm like a total killer about it.
At the time, like in that moment, and Chris Mead's got a good real story about that. He got like $1.17 or something like that. Got a good screenshot of it.
I do too. I have a screenshot.
Right. I find not everyone comes out of that moment, with a good story to tell.
No.
What was the story that you were telling yourself in the moment? Like how do you look at your friend and laugh, even if it's a laugh of pain or whatever was behind the laugh, irrelevant. What was the story you were telling yourself? Because there might be a lot of people listening to this, I had that moment happen to me the year of the acquisition, and our hero product just stopped selling. Bank account is falling off a cliff, and I have a $900,000 American Express bill that I can't pay.
Yeah.
And you don't want to owe American Express money.
No.
And I remember just like, I've got staff, like people, like the story I told myself at the time was like, this can't be real.
Yeah.
What was the story you were telling
I think
yourself?
I was just in complete denial. Like now I tell the story and I'm like, oh yeah, that actually happened. But at the time I was just like, I didn't even tell anyone about it. I didn't even really tell Katie about it. I didn't even tell the person I was dating about it. I was just kind of like thinking like I could just figure stuff out on my own because, like when you're a solo founder, you're just like used to figuring out everything on your own. And I wasn't really letting anyone in. I was just like, I need to figure this out. I was beating myself up for all the mistakes I'd made. Like we had, that summer of 2023 when I was just like dumping the last of my savings into Little Saints, like we had launched the like St. Ember product, which we originally called St. Mezcal. I got canceled pretty publicly. And I was like, I thought we were going to go out of business for that. And so I was just like in fight or flight for like 4 months. So honestly, like the selling things and putting my own cash into the business, that just felt like, didn't even feel like the worst thing.
Wow. That is
Like my
super
dad got
powerful.
shot that summer. It
What?
was just like, I was just like, I don't even know what's happening. Like, I can't even sort of believe that I kept the
How did
business
your
afloat.
dad like randomly shot?
Yeah. He was in
Wow.
the gunshot wound of the hospital for 10 days.
Wow.
Yeah. And this was like 3 weeks after like I got canceled. Like I got called out for cultural appropriation. I'll just say it, for calling
Yeah.
it St. Mezcal. It was not our intention. We fucked up. We said sorry. We changed the name. We like did, like it was a mistake that we came back from. But that happened. My dad got shot like 2 weeks later. And then like I just started selling things and selling things and selling things. And like it was crazy.
Wow.
But listen, I mean, now I'm like, I was pretty fearless before, obviously, but now I'm like, oh, we're going to be fine. Like I've been
Wow.
through that. Like we're going to be like totally fine. So now there's like no doubt in my mind that I can take this to the finish line sort of after going through that summer.
And I want to get into, I know how the next 18 months goes and how you build. I want to get into that, but I'm really curious if there was a lesson from like just, if we can kind of sit in that moment and, your dad gets shot, liquidating basically everything. When we do a bad brand move, total mistake, but people love to smash us for it.
Mm-hmm.
Is there a lesson that looking back now, the version of you now had to unlearn from that time?
Completely. It was that I didn't have enough self-worth to trust my own intuition in doing things. Like when we launched what we called St. Mezcal, I had like 2 PR firms and a marketing firm. And I had so many people tell me like, if you start a beverage brand, you need a celebrity. No one knows who you are. Like I still don't have that many Instagram followers. It's just like people, you're not good enough. And so you need these other people around you. And I had like equity advisors and I had way too many people telling me what to do. And I wasn't trusting my own intuition on like, I know what's best for the business. And so it was that summer of liquidating things. It was really symbolic of me just like getting rid of all the other opinions. And I'm like,
Wow.
listen, like I am like qualified to do this. No one is more passionate about this. Like no one knows our customer better. Like, and my business partner, Katie, and I, like, bless her, because she was like on board too. And so we were just like, we're cutting out all of it. And like what, like we just figured out like what people wanted. And we like really listened to our customers and cut out the noise. And I think had I done that from the beginning, like I wouldn't have been in such a bad financial situation because I was like wasting. I remember the month that we launched St. Mezcal, we like burned $180,000. And it was like, what the heck were we doing? Did we need to have like a party on the Lower East Side because people told us to? No.
Yeah.
So I just like, I think
Wow.
that was what gave me really a lot of confidence as a business leader because we were able to turn it around.
Wow. That is a super powerful lesson. I want to double click into that. And then I want to get into like the last, like, we're going to try the product obviously in a second, but I've tried the product before. I love it, but
You haven't had a martini yet. This is how I used to drink. I used to have like go out at night and I'd be tired because I'd be hungover and then I would have coffee and then I would have martinis. So we're just going to have
kind of like an espresso martini.
Yeah. I'd be like, I'm going to wake up and I'm going to get a little fucked up.
Okay. So we're going to get into that. But the takeaway that I really want people to sit with, this is so powerful. And I really appreciate you sharing this is, and this is, oh my God, probably happened to every single entrepreneur, but we're always sometimes looking for the answers externally.
Mm-hmm.
Can other people help me and stuff like that? And like, that's, honestly, that's a big reason for like the Founders Club. It's just sometimes just being in the energy of like-minded people, you can find the answer yourself. Sometimes just being in the right circle, but also like the ability to just trust yourself, almost like unapologetically in a way.
Yeah.
And it's a form of alignment. I remember we did an ad one time, and long story short, we had this photo shoot and all this money. It was $150,000 photo shoot ad. It was for Father's Day, which is actually coming up. It was a big thing. And I felt so wrong about it. Like we had actors and camera shoot. We were going to fly to this place and I wasn't like sleeping. And I remember I texted my co-founder and I said, I have an idea. I'm going to do a selfie video of the script. That's our ad. Cool. And like, thank God he like knew I was a little bit crazy. And he's like, cool, man. You want me to let them know or you let them know? I'm like, I'll let them know. And I was like, hey guys, we're not doing the shoot. People worked on it. They were frustrated. I had to deal with all that aftermath, and ended up being our best performing ad of me just literally saying, hey, like, we're running a Father's Day sale. Here's my dad. I love my dad. He's been a big player in my life. A little video about my dad. And that was it. So this whole actors pretending to be me. And I remember looking back, like being proud of, oh, I saved 150 grand. But it was a catalyst to just like, as an entrepreneur, sometimes just listening to you for a little bit.
Yeah.
Instead of just looking for who can, the best of this, the best of this. Sometimes just that alignment is key.
Yeah, I agree. And I think there's that really subtle shift of like, we both, like I love Founders Club. I always learn people. Like I'm always like wanting to be around other entrepreneurs to learn from them. I think it's like that fine point of discernment of being like, learn from them, but like don't act like they know better than me. So I'm going to do what someone else said. It's like that really, like, I think that's what makes you a better and better entrepreneur is being able to like listen and discern.
What's up, founder to founder fam? I just want to quickly pause here and thank you so much for tuning in and being a part of this journey. Starting a podcast is no joke. And the fact that hundreds of you listen every single week means the world to us. We want to continue to bring better and different and unique conversations to you to give you the most amount of value. Our only ask is that if you enjoy the pod, to please just share it with a friend. And most importantly, leave a comment, DM us, give us any sort of feedback. This entire production is for you. So if we can make it just 1% better, we will. We love you all. All right, let's get back into the pod.
It's like, how do you know that you're in the wrong frequency? This is my catalyst. Ready? If you see an Instagram reel of like, I don't know, 11 seconds or whatever it is, and there's a recommendation for your business, if your urge is to take that and send it to your team, like, let's do this, that is a point of like a mirror showing you that you're out of alignment because you didn't even watch the whole thing.
Oh yeah.
You have no idea what you don't know anything about this person. You don't know their background. You don't know nothing, but you just grabbed onto it. And we do it all the time. It's a normal thing, which is why, like, yeah, sometimes just being around people that don't have a horse in the race and just like listening, like you said, and like taking information and then seeing how it sits and then formulating it to yourself is usually the magic.
Yeah.
Really important. Okay. Little Saints doesn't stay down for too long.
You can't keep us down.
All right. You can't keep us down. We met in the summer of 24, right? At one of our Founders Club retreats at Anne's house.
Yep.
At that point, you were already on the come up.
I had just filmed Shark Tank. I don't think I could.
Yeah.
I don't know if I told you that, but yeah, I just filmed Shark Tank because I think we met in July 2024.
July. So you just filmed. It did not air yet.
No.
Because I remember when it aired.
Yeah.
Just filmed it. Things are starting to go for you. But before that, take me through Shark Tank. Was it something you always wanted to get on? What it was like, hey, we need something. Like, at what point did you like, hey, it's time for Shark Tank?
It was really sweet. My grandmother was like the first divorced woman on her block. She like worked her way up from like in the mailroom at the paper to like the head of advertising there. And I really like respected her so much she was like my original mentor as a business person, and she loved Shark Tank. So I knew about Shark Tank because I would watch it with her.
Wow.
And then, when you become an entrepreneur, everyone and their mother's like, you should be on Shark Tank. And actually they reached out to me. Like I got an email and like saying like, you should audition for this. And I was like, well, this seems like a really lucky thing. And then like, I love Mark Cuban. Like I follow him. I was like, oh my God, it would be amazing for him to invest in this. So I started the process, and the process is like legit. Like I did more due diligence for Shark Tank than I've done for some like investment rounds,
Yeah.
And so it was like really helpful. I still had to do the videos. I still had to like apply for the whole thing. And, I got excited about Shark Tank through that process because I was like, oh, this is like legit. This is like helping me know my business better. Like I'm going to go on there and I'm going to get Mark Cuban. So they hold you, and then, I filmed it and, I wanted to make a deal with him. You saw on the show, he was like, oh, like I just don't invest in this category. And I was kind of crushed. I was like, wait, what? And I tried to convince him. And then, but the thing was, and I had told them like, as part of when we were talking, it's like a real investor negotiation. You have to like memorize your first like 90-second like pitch. And then they're just like firing questions at you. And I know my numbers. So it was like a real thing. And I told them, I was like, listen guys, like I'm raising a safe note right now at a $20 million valuation. Like I'm coming in here and I'm giving you a discount. I'm giving you a valuation of $10 million, which is a 50% discount because I value your expertise. And I know that you would be super helpful to the brand. And they just cut that in half and cut that in half again. So I was just like, listen, like, We were farther along. I think, I don't know why they picked me, but I think why they picked me is because we still haven't taken any venture investment. So it's been all angels. And I was like, how would I was telling them, I'm like, you guys are giving me a $5 million valuation. We'd done $5 million trailing revenue at that point. So I'm like, any future investor is going to be like, this girl's an idiot. Why did she take that deal? And so I just was really hoping that they would give me like a real deal, and they just didn't give me anything that I could even work with.
Wow.
But I mean, I'm really grateful for the experience. It helped me know my business a lot more. It like, they were really great to me on the show. Like, I think that what ABC really did with that, because I was the season opener, and I think that's because they see that like, the movement, like, toward drinking less alcohol is really there. So I think they wanted to like put that in the forefront of culture.
Mm-hmm.
We don't call our drinks mocktails, but they had like mushroom mocktails was the first word of the description of the season. So I think that's really indicative of like where they think culture was going, and they wanted to highlight that they were sort of
it was kind of on trend.
Yeah.
And it was like right before, it was right before Dry January?
Yeah, so it was October 18th was the day the episode aired. And it was so funny. My team like still makes fun of me. I was like, we're going to do $600,000 in a weekend. And it doesn't work like that because no one's like watching their TV.
It's a slow
like they
drip,
used to. Yeah. But it was really helpful because then like, we had the brand awareness for that. And then we're already like a big brand like with meta advertising. And so it just like really helped with our credibility and brand awareness before holidays and before Dry January.
Wow. And then that January was the biggest January in Little Saints
we
history.
did $2 million in January.
Wow.
We had a couple $100,000 days.
So just if you're comfortable sharing, like just I want you to kind of paint the picture for people. So first year
I did probably less than $100,000. Second year I did $500,000. That's when I launched with the distributor, and it was a disaster. Third year, I had to buy back the inventory from the distributor, and Katie and I decided to do just like go all in on D2C. So we barely had any wholesale that year. We did like 1.6 million. Wow. 2024, Shark Tank airs in October, and we were doing way better on our own, like with D2C. So we did 1.6, and then we did 9.6 in 2024. So we kicked it, and then we did, we did 4.6 million in Q1. So we just like kicked.
Wow.
Yeah. And we're down a little bit Q2, as you always are, especially after Dry January. Yeah. But like, we were up we were up 300% quarter over quarter, and we're up over 100% year over year, even for these kind of like yucky, like Q2 months.
Wow. And in the fourth year. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. That is magical. Tell me in your words, of course. I always find the fourth year to be a very big year for brands that can at least make it to the fourth year. You make it to the fourth year, typically what happens, at least in D2C, yes and no about CPG, is you approach profitability if you're not already there. You experience what it feels like to have true, not product market fit, because you had that earlier. It's product marketing fit. You figured out your marketing.
I like that.
Right? That's what I call it. That's usually what happens around year 4, right? Where like, I always say you found your vending machine where you put $1 in, you can get a couple bucks out. And you're like, whoa, this works. You like kind of found that. I remember back in the day, you would like hold the 3 things to get like a free drink out of the machine or something like that. Like you found your hack. And things are starting to kind of like, I call it the dance. You called it. It's very much a dance. Tell me what Little Saints for you, in your words, looks like in year 6, 7, and 8.
Yeah, I would say this year is the year we are like growing up. Like we are not fucking around anymore. Like we've grown our team. I know from like, just knowing people like in the Founders Club, I know that from between 10 and 20 million is where we usually mess up. Like that is like real hard to get past there. And I can already see the growing pains. And so like I hired like a really killer VP of growth who's like led other D2C companies. Like I'm really like focusing on optimizing that. And also we're building wholesale. And I know that this year is like the year, we're still having rapid growth, but like I got to be smart about it or else we're not going to like make it past 20. So we're really like, this year is the year that we are like laying the foundation that is going to make us like grow and be sustainable to get us to like 2028. So, we're targeting like 100% year over year growth. So like we're targeting about 19 million this year and we're like on track. I would say like 30 something, 2026, like 40, 50 something, 2027. And I think, for the first time in all the businesses I've built, like feels conservative. Like we have a real path to get there. We haven't even scratched the surface of wholesale. Like we barely have any trucks. Our trucks business is like a joke. I'm still the head of sales. So like there's so much white space for us to go into, but I really feel proud of like the team. I think we've built a really good brand. And when we go into a market, like our marketing is already there because we're such a good, well-known brand on social media. So I just think like my job is to make sure that we have the right team in place, like full of like A-team players to, get us to that next level. Because, when you're like a founder, like in fight or flight, you're just like in scarcity mode. Like I'm realizing I'm getting out of the mindset of being like, oh, it's good and it's as good as we can afford, or it's as good as we can get, or like I can't afford the best contractor, I can't afford the best team. Like, okay. And like I'm just like, we're out of that. We're totally out of that. Like the new phase is like A-team, like I'm not in scarcity mindset anymore. And I'm looking at the business in a new way. I actually like had my ayahuasca ceremony 2 weeks ago. I was like, oh, okay. I know what I'm doing wrong. The problem is me. I'm in scarcity mindset. I'm like acting like, oh, I'm too busy to do the foundational things. And it's like, no, I need to be like A-team CEO and I need to like run my team like that.
You just brought up my next point, naturally. I made a video about how ayahuasca really changed the way that I view my business. And it went viral, and it was like a good viral. It was like 50% were like, yeah, and 50% like you're not using it right, and or whatever, you're whatever. But I truly believe that you can use it for whatever it is you need, and sometimes it doesn't give you what you want, it gives you what you need, but most of the time at least. And at least in my experience. Tell me about how you've, now use, plant medicine to become a better leader. Like it's people like, the story of going from like essentially zero and selling things, scrapping by going on Shark Tank, not getting the deal, them trying to lowball you, but it worked out. And this kind of like fight creates a natural scarcity mindset because you're surviving.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have to then pivot at a certain point. And it's not like you get an email saying, hey, today's the day, congrats, you get to pivot. Like
no more scarcity mindset.
It's like, hey, by the way, congrats, you made it to this stage of entrepreneurship. It's like naturally you're like, wait, we have to create a layer of abundance in this group, and we can go way bigger and we can think bigger, but I need to make sure I have the right pieces. Tell me how you use plant medicine to help you navigate. For a lot of people, they might be like, oh, that's crazy. Why would you trust that? It's like, well, you're kind of just trusting yourself in a way.
You're just trusting yourself. I've talked to a bunch of people about it, and they're like, oh, I wouldn't want to know that stuff about myself, or I wouldn't want to go through that, because I'm always like, there's no hiding from it. For me, it's all radical accountability. And so I want to know my blind spots. And like, I hope my team tells me my blind spots. Like we do feedback all the time, but like no one's ever really going to tell me. And so I really work with it now to know my personal and my professional blind spots. And the second ceremony I did a couple of weeks ago, it was terrible. I was like seeing all the ways I had been out of integrity over the past 4 years since I had started Little Saints, like the people that I ghosted, like the people that I didn't treat well, the contractors that I was kind of a bitch to. And I was just like, oh my God, like I don't want to, I'd gone into it asking like, how can I be a better leader? And it was just like, oh yeah, the problem is you. Like you got to leave this behavior behind. And so I just really, it sucked. But I really sat with it. And then, not being a person of moderation, I went back to my team the Monday after, and I did something that I would not do again, but I will tell you what I did. So I was like, okay, I know that my team loves me. Like we do have a good culture, and I want to know how I could be a better leader. So we did an insane little exercise where I said, listen, I want to know like how I could be a better leader. And I want you guys to all be raw with me. And all I am allowed to do is say, thank you. Like I'm not allowed to say, I'm sorry. And you're not allowed to say you're sorry. And I really wanted to know what they had to say. And I really wanted them to see me just be able to sit there and accept their feedback and learn from it. I will say that I went in with rose-colored glasses on. It was way harder than I thought. I cried. I was like, oh God, but
Was it like by like, did they send you an email?
No, it was in person.
Just face to face?
Bonkers time in person.
Beautiful.
And God bless Katie, because she's, like my number 2, my chief creative officer. We're also really good friends. So I told her about it in advance and I was like, you need to be raw with me. And what I heard was, I was like, I'm really sharp with contractors. Like I don't have much tolerance for like lack of accountability, because I try to practice accountability so much. And so, when they're saying they're going to do something and they don't do it, like, it's okay for me to have no tolerance for lack of accountability. It's not okay for me to be like sharp and like, not respectful. And I'm a really loving person. So I just was like, oh God, you're right. Like I'm super loving to the team and I'm too much with them. And so I just saw that, like, I think that my directness is always a gift, because I'm like not talking shit. I'm just like, I'm always direct with people. But I saw that could not be so great. I saw that, I think that people know where the company's going because we're very transparent. Everyone sees all the numbers, but I haven't been as good enough about like showing them the big picture and showing them where they're going. And I'm too much, like in the moment. And so they really need that from me. Like you know how it is when you're a founder, especially like when you have like a drinks for events, like I'm all over the place. And sometimes like I'll schedule a meeting and forget to tell them that like I'm not in town that day. And that just reads as like me being disrespectful.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's tough. It was like listening to this and I was like, oh. And, Kellogg, for my Kellogg MBA, there's a class in how to be magnetic in business. And it's all about like giving feedback. And when you do that, the feedback method is to give positive feedback and it's to give negative feedback in the same thing.
Sandwich.
And I was like, cool. Yeah. Kellogg knows what they're doing. Like my version was not cool because like I had a hard time with it. I accepted it. I was grateful for it. And my team also had a hard time with it too, because they love me and they don't want to only just like roast me.
Right.
So I wouldn't do it again that way, but I would just say it was a really great exercise because now I'm looking at it like, okay, June, like we're moving forward. Like I've listened to this, I'm putting it into practice and like no more scarcity mindset. And like, this is the leader I want to be. And it was helpful.
I think it's so powerful that you go out and seek feedback. It's one of the most underrated because it's extremely uncomfortable and something that we should do in all areas of our life.
Yeah.
It's like I'm constantly seeking feedback from friends or from family, like, hey, how can I be potentially a better brother or a partner or a community member, whatever it is, how do I no one's ever going to be perfect, but I love what you did. And you sat down and you really got the truth in a way. And sometimes it's, there's emotions involved and things like that, but you know the parts that are like really true because they kind of click.
Yeah.
We do something similar, but I really just love the I can say thank you part where we say, if you were me, what would you do? And if I worked for you, how would you help me be better? And it goes a really long way, but woven into all of that is feedback that does kind of hurt in a way. And the part that hurts the most is the part that is just so damn true.
Oh yeah. You're like, oh, I did do that. Like,
yeah.
Oh, and then, yeah.
Was there one piece of feedback that was like, this is the part that always hurts me the most is when it's consistent. It's like 5 people are saying the same thing.
Oh yeah. Everyone was like, basically like, you're a bitch to our contractors.
Yeah.
Like, and I was like, oh God. And I think it's from that scarcity mindset of like, and I do love our contractors. That's the thing. I don't know why I
had about contractors sometimes gives us like, oh, you don't actually work for me. So right. I can kind of say like, whatever.
If you don't do everything perfect, I can just get pissed off. And that's not cool. Like we show up like with love to our customers, with love to our like team. It's just like not cool. So it was hard to listen to. And I really just like am committed to just being totally different in the future. And I think that if I'm being honest, that like goes back to that lack of self-worth that I had in 2023 when I had all of the PR and I had all of the marketing agencies, like, I was leaning on them for my self-worth. So I think I just super flipped and I was like, oh, all contractors suck. And they don't. They're people. They're great. They're trying.
Yeah. Get burned one time. And
yeah. By the way, do you mind if I make us a martini? I feel like we got really serious.
Yeah. Let's do this. Yes.
Okay, great.
Okay, walk us through for the people that listen to this. Tell me what's happening.
I'm just pouring out because there's ice in the shaker. So I'm just pouring out the extra water. Okay. So when I didn't want to give up martinis, like I love having a martini. Like from Wisconsin, like I can totally drink. And I really like having multiple martinis in a night. So what we do is, St. Juniper is a gin alternative and it is powered by lion's mane mushroom instead of alcohol, but it has all of like the really great culinary and flavor and aroma components that a gin has. So it has juniper.
Oh, I can smell it. It smells great.
It has birch. It has cardamom. It has
Who
angelica
formulates these?
root. So we work with a couple different formulators. The cans originally, we formulated them with a food scientist with her master's in adaptogens.
Wow.
And then, we work with a bunch of them. I ran product development at my old company. So like I know a lot. I'm really witchy. I know a lot about ingredients, but I need them to kind of know exactly where to source what we need and, really how to put it. Okay. So here's what you do. You do 2 parts St. Juniper, which is our gin alternative. I'm just going to eyeball this.
Yeah.
And you do 1 part olive juice. That might have been too much. Do you like olives?
Yeah, I love olives.
Okay, great.
Extra dirty.
Oh, here, wait. I'm supposed to shake it over here.
Okay.
Okay, so you got to wait until the shaker gets really cold. So this is just St. Juniper and olive juice. So you can see how you can smell it. Yeah,
I like the second you actually open the bottle.
Yeah.
I smelled it.
So this is like really important. So you can have this at home. We always like to remind people that let me give you a napkin. Like that the glass, the experience is really important because it's all part of it.
Wow. Okay.
All right.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Thank you.
Cheers.
Wow. Let's
see if I messed up with this olive ratio.
I really like this flavor. I don't have this one.
Yeah, this is it tastes like an extra dirty martini. I might have gone a little heavy on the olive juice, but
I like it. I like it.
You like it extra dirty?
Yeah. It's just amazing.
Yeah, I don't think you have had this one. This is the newest one.
That is amazing. This feels like a hard thing. Like in my head, I'm like, impossible to recreate this. This is so hard.
I hope so.
It feels that way.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, no, I mean, this one, the cans are a little bit easier to produce. We sort of have that formula down, but the bottles are all like a totally new adventure on their own. I mean,
like the label. I like that you went paper.
Oh yeah, it's got to be
I'm a label junkie because I know what goes into this.
Yeah.
The layers and the printing, getting the colors right and the metallic. It's no joke to get this right. It's no joke. Even like the thickness of it and everything counts when it comes to labeling.
Thank you. And it's a liquor bottle, right? Like this is made for like
it looked good in like my liquor cabinet.
And mine, yeah. This is yours.
Yes. This is fan-freaking-tastic. Okay, so tell me. Wow, much needed. So the brand is growing. And you're based in Miami. And
of Miami.
Yes. I want to know because, we've heard about New York. We've heard about Chicago. A lot of people have, I'm from Toronto. Canadians have an interesting relationship with Miami. We come here to party and go home. Yeah. So everyone's like, I'm moving to Miami. They're like, oh, you're going through a degenerate phase? I was like, no, I'm moving to Miami.
He's going through his quarter life crisis. Watch this. He'll be back in no time.
Beautiful place. There's health and wellness. It's like any major city. Just whatever you want. You find your own modality. I really love building business here. Talk to me about is your team remote? Are you guys in person?
Yeah, no, it's so important. We were doing remote. Like I said, Katie's been with me for a long time. So I moved to Miami because I had a money astrologer do my astrocartography reading, and she told me that Miami would be the best place for Little Saints. And I was single at the time, and I moved to Miami the month later. And it actually has been. I mean, it's just feels like it's easy for us here. Like it feels like, very well, there's not a lot of startups here. There's getting to be more, but slowly, serious entrepreneurial community, I would say, is smaller than in other big cities. People who actually work and are operating and building companies, it's smaller. But I think it's growing. And I would just say, it's been so great for Little Saints because there's not any other non-alcoholic beverage brands based here. I think people are really welcoming to us. Whereas I mentioned I lived in between LA and New York for a year, and I'm just I felt like it was exhausting trying to knock on doors and get people's attention when it's so crowded and they've already talked to 10 other brands. And so Miami just made it easier like that. Wow. And there's a growing community. Of course, Miami's known for partying and alcohol and all this stuff. But a lot of the people
That's what
here,
you like.
it's also known for wellness,
Mhm.
right? And so like this has a place here. And then, you know, people are generally happier here. Like I love like the Latin influence on culture, and I really like building a team here. Like for our 4th birthday, we took a boat out. You know, you can't do that in
Isn't
another
it crazy? Like we did a
city.
mastermind on a boat. Were you on that?
Yeah, I was on it. It was so fun.
isn't that
You had to miss it.
I know, because my flight from LA.
No, that was like amazing. So you can do
Like-
all this stuff. You can take a walk around the neighborhood. And so we've
Yeah.
slowly just been making, you know, so now we have 5 full-time team members that are in Miami. And then we have 2 remote full-time team members. So we were in this lame corporate space. And then one day I was meditating and I was like, we're so not corporate. Like we cannot be in a corporate office. So I rented a house that's 3 blocks away from my personal house. And we have a Little Saints house that we just painted the walls mint green. And so like everyone, which has like been a game changer. Cause when you have a company that's selling stuff, you're like, I mean, we were like getting carts and like waiting for the elevator and you have to go to an event and it's such a pain in the butt. And so now we have a house, like, you know, like my office is in a bedroom, like everyone's really happy. We have the fridges there. And so we love running the business from Miami. And it's great because like, as I'm building a team, you know, like I luckily just hired Carr, our VP of growth. He lived in Miami already, but you know, we're hiring, you know, a director of like brand marketing now. And a lot of people want to move to Miami. So it's just like a really great supportive place. And I think generally like people are excited about, you know, entrepreneurs being here and like real operating businesses being here. And it just feels like it's the most welcoming place I've ever like.
I love the idea of a house. I was always like, I've always dreamed of creating like a place where you can like do everything, you know, you can have like a gym and like everyone can come and it could be like, I love that idea. And you know, the topic of remote versus in person is important, but I feel like it's an interesting, people say it's a debate. I don't think it's a debate because I know deep in my heart that if you give any business owner like an option, so it's basically picture option A and option B. They both have the exact same resources, the exact same talent. All the variables are all the same. But option A is remote fully, and option B is in person every single day together. Which team are you betting on with your life savings?
Oh, in person, 100%.
Yeah.
Especially, I think any business, but like especially like creative. Like so many of our best ideas come when we're sitting around the kitchen table, or when, you know, like some of like our best videos, you know, come up when we're like actually filming something that's serious that we've scripted. And then they're like, let's do this. And we're all together. And then it just happens. Like it's
the energy.
You need that. You really need
and
that.
You can
in person.
build momentum. It's so hard to build momentum remote. Like we're like a semi-remote team, but we're actually moving everybody to Miami.
Oh, you are?
Yeah, because so much more happens. Like, you know, last year, which was like really our first full year, we did, I think like 40 like total events.
Oh, wow.
This between now and the end of the year, we already have 110. And like, there's so much going on. And
between now and the end of the year, you have 110. Wow.
110. And it's like, there's 30 that are going to happen in Miami, and there's like 27 in Toronto, and then there's New York. And it's like, all that's happening because the more time we spend together, like you just have this momentum. And even like, we don't spend every day together. I can only imagine what that would be. I have 2 last questions I want to ask. Okay. So one is we always ask at the end of all of our podcasts. So I'll save that for the end. But the second one is if the person, like your version of yourself during your heaviest drinking days, so if we can like kind of flash to that version of Megan.
December 2020. Got it.
There you go. December 2020 could see you now. What would that version, what would she be the most proud of now? December 2020 Megan, if she could see you now, you know, at her lowest, heaviest drinking days, and she was able to kind of put glasses on and look at you right now, what would she be the most proud of?
I think she'd be like, oh my gosh, we're happy. Like I that's all I really ever wanted, was to feel like genuinely clear of all of my trauma and like be able to show up and be present and feel open. And I just felt like that was always so far away. Like I was just like, I'm going to have to do 1 million ayahuasca and I'm never going to get there. And like, I just, you know, I took my first personal vacation, like I've all of my vacations that I've taken since I've started Little Saints have been personal development works. It's been like the neurofeedback. It's been ayahuasca retreats. It's been like,
Right.
I've just been working really hard on myself to get to, I mean, I still, of course, have like a lot to do, but like to
Yeah.
get to this point where I am happy and I'm like happy with myself. And then I think that flow, of course that flows into the business, but generally like I just felt like that was always so like outside of my reach.
Wow. That's super powerful. Yeah. It's kind of like, I remember, recently coming off of the journey and someone's like, oh, so like you think you're like finally happy now? And I was like, personal development never ends.
Mm-hmm.
It's just nice to be in a good place where majority of the time I'm feeling really good about it. We're not 100% every day. So that's really powerful.
No, and I do think it's important to like now I just know that I can get back to my happy baseline. Like I for sure have bad days, but now I have practices and I know that I'm not going to slip into that hole that I used to live in. Like I've got my tools, like I have to work at it, but I can get myself out. It's just, yeah, it's like life is still there.
Life. Yeah. Life is lifing. Okay.
Life is lifing.
And our last question, my favorite, is if we were able to bring a younger version of yourself, so you can flash back to any age. People go back to 5 years old, some people go back to last week, and bring her here. We pull up a chair in the front and we have her sit here with us. One is at what age, which version of Megan is here? How old is she? And if you can share one message with her about what the future might be like, how old is she? And what would you tell her? You're sitting here with us right now.
I think she would be 16 and I hope I don't cry. I would tell her you're not broken. Like you're going to be okay. Like no matter what happened to you, you're not broken and you have a beautiful life ahead of you. And, stop being so hard on yourself.
It's very magical. Anything you want to share with the audience before that? I am going to ask you if anything you want to share, but before that, I'll make sure people go check out those sayings. You've been an inspiration to a lot of the people within the community, whether you realize it or not. People all the time are asking you about you, or when is she coming? So I think people that are listening to this are really going to finally connect with a deeper story, because it's hard to sit and extract, a deeper story to people. So I really hope people resonate. Well, I know they will. So thank you for showing up, which is really important, and like doing the work, because all this stuff is hard. It's way easier to just not do any of this. So much easier.
It's so much easier, and people are like, oh, I don't want to go there. And it's like, well, if you don't go there, you're just going to be stuck in the not going there place. And so I think it's, you do the same thing. It's just like part of being an entrepreneur is just like radical self-evolution, and it's not easy. And it's not only evolving as a business leader, it's evolving as a person. It's all woven together. And so I think, it's nice to be around you and like the Founders Club and have other people that are really just like dedicated all into that radical self-improvement. Because I think, I hope that like we're going into a new era of where, everyone talks about work-life balance. And it's like I just think that creates like a dichotomy that's not healthy for people. Like work is different than your personal, and your personal has to be totally different from your work. And if you're not doing that, then you're not going to be happy. And I think, what I hope is that, and I've only learned this by practice. I didn't know this, but like I'm such a happier person because I'm working on personal development that's the same as business development at the same time. And I just, I want people to know that like there really like is a light at the end of the tunnel. Like if you stop separating things and being like, well, I need to, I'm going to go on a vacation so I can do the work, or I need to do this like outside of work because work just sucks.
Yeah.
Like I hope that, like the more conversations we can have like this, it can all blend together, because there's really a lot of freedom in that.
And also like as an entrepreneur, if you wake up every day and you're excited to do whatever it is you're doing, on the way over here, actually, I had like, sometimes I just like, I don't know, I like meditate when I drive, not even on purpose. I just like, whoa. And I remembered a time, you know, I still do have like a cold press juicing business in Toronto. We have 11 locations.
You do?
Like acai bowls, juices. Yeah. Since I was 18.
Wow.
I was cooking them in my mom's basement. And I guess because my mom
I
is
love that. That's just like, I've known you for a year. I had no idea.
Yeah. I have 11 locations. It's called Revitalize. It's yeah, all over in Toronto. And, you know, I guess cause I was kind of like, you know, listening to your story on the way over here and you know, you have the truck and the Jeep and you drive around, and we used to do that. Like I used to go to like the yoga show and like bring a fridge and like convince people like don't worry, it has no sugars, it's not Tropicana. Like this is back in 2011, you know, like a juice is full of sugar. It's like, no, this is not that. And I remember like my brother and I trying to get this like 600-pound fridge onto like the back of this like trolley thing that like we didn't get it right. I went to this yoga show and we forgot to order the power. So we had to steal the power from the guy down there, and we had to hide the rope, and the guy caught us, and it was all this stuff. And then the fridge light wasn't on, and I had to buy it like, and we were there all day. And I remember we made like, I don't know, $500, you know?
I've so been there.
And we went and like got dinner, and the dinner was like 200, and it was like all of that. And it was like, oh, we gotta be there tomorrow at 7 a.m. But we were so excited. We were like so excited to do it the next day. And we would talk to hundreds of people, and I would go around and I would tell because in my head, I'm like, well, there's 1,000 people working here, so I'll just get them to buy, you know, and like, you thirsty, come by, you know. And I remember like thinking back, like we made no money, but what a pleasure to be able to wake up and be excited. Like, how lucky am I that I get to wake up full of energy to do literally no money things, break my back, and do it with my brother. And I think like if you are lucky enough in whatever it is you're doing, but specifically entrepreneurship, where you're still excited enough, you can interchange momentum and excitement. I think that is the secret to life.
Absolutely.
That's the secret. Because for now, like in today's world, like the amount of things I do for literally less negative money or no money versus trying to pay me to do something I don't want to do is crazy. Like I will turn down, you know, a $10,000, $20,000 speaking gig in Vietnam because I don't want to go to Vietnam. Like I don't know, like what, you know. But I'll pay myself to like go to a thing in Miami, and I'll lose money on the time if it's my vibe, you know. And and I feel like if you're able to do that, if you're lucky enough, regardless of how much money you're making, it'll always work out.
I think that too. And I think that's an important thing for, you know, like people that are in an entrepreneurial place, like we have been before, where it feels like nothing's going right. Like you can still practice discernment and only do things that you're aligned with. And you might like lose money in the short term, but it's going to be so much better for your like personal happiness and for your energy. And I think the more you keep saying no to things that like aren't aligned with you, then it's like really when things start to work out.
This is incredible. Tell people where we can buy this.
So littlesaints.com. This is Saint Juniper, our spirits. We also are on Amazon, and our Instagram is at Little Saints Co.
This is incredible. No, honestly, every single time I see you bring me like a new flavor or something, and I'm like, what? And then like,
dude, we've got the biggest banger of all flavors coming out this fall.
The last time I saw you, we were speaking on a boat. We did like a Founders Club boat, and you pulled out like a flask.
Oh my God. I've been sitting with this in my pocket. Oh, hello. We have these little flasks. I'm going on an airplane later on.
Wait, let me slap my drink. 1 second.
So all I wanted, you know how you go to like a restaurant and like, oh good, I didn't put my lips on it yet.
No, I was going to pour it in here. It's fine.
This is the St. Ember. This is the like mezcal tequila alternative that you've tried. So this is for like solving the problem of when you go into a restaurant, and many of them are getting on board with the non-alcoholic cocktail members, but many, especially in Miami, still have a juice mocktail list. And you're like, no, I don't want that. You can pour this in a cup. You can pour this in soda water, and you're happy. What do you think?
What's that? What is that?
Yeah, it's Palo Santo. This is the first, it's a Palo Santo extract. We work with the forest in northern Peru. They press the oils like right there. It's like a dead and fallen trees. We actually have a USDA timber permit to import it into the US. So like it is like direct to the source. We pay them a really great price for it. And Then we bring it to the US, have it made food safe into an extract, and then we add ginger and cardamom and some other spices and flavors, and we make this.
You are incredible. This is incredible. This is absolutely incredible. I would have, if you asked me to guess how this would taste in a million ways, I never would have guessed it Palo Santo.
Oh yeah, because we don't really know what it tastes like. We know what it smells like, but Palo Santo is actually in the fennel and mint family. So that weird sweetness that you taste in it, you're like, oh, where is that from? It's from the Palo Santo.
We've got a mastermind next week. Are you coming to it? It's on the 18th. Are you in town?
I think I'm going to, we're going to Nantucket. We launched in Nantucket.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, you did send a bunch of stuff.
Yeah, I sent
That's why I bring it up, because
yeah.
we have got a Founders Club mastermind and we're all going to be slamming some St. Amber.
For
wow.
Sure.
Okay. Megan, thank you so much.
Thank
this
you
was
for having me.
much
This was
fun.
really fun.
Thank you for everything you do within the community. Thank you for being an amazing member. Thank you for being an incredible entrepreneur. Thank you for sharing, which is so important. People can tell our story. You can start doing anything at any time in your life. There's no age on anything. I think it drives me insane, you know, of how, like, I think Walmart was started like in the 50s. Like, that's the magic of evolution, constantly evolving. I really appreciate you.
Thank you. I really enjoyed this conversation.
Yes. And I can't wait for the day where we come back to this episode, I think in like 2 years, and we replay you manifesting the future for yourself, because I have no doubt about it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for tuning in to another episode of the Founder to Founder podcast. And I have one favor, just one favor to ask. It's the only favor I'll ever ask from you. And if you liked what you listened to please like, subscribe, and please just leave a comment. Let us know what you think, how we can make it better. We are all in on delivering value to you. And all we ask in return is that you hit that subscribe. It goes a long way for what we're trying to build here. And as always, we post an episode every single Wednesday. So stay tuned, and thank you for tuning in.